Hi, I'm Erica Christensen. Since I was a kid, I've always loved chemistry. I used to mix stuff in the kitchen trying to make my own little experiments. It drove my mom crazy, but I was hooked. After high school, I went to university to study chemical engineering. I got a job at a pharmaceutical company, where I worked on creating new medicines. I loved it. It felt good knowing I was helping to save lives. 3 years ago, I met Isaac at a party our mutual friend hosted. He was tall, had sandy blonde hair, and a smile that lit up the room. We hit it off right away. "Hey, I'm Isaac," he said, holding out his hand. "And I'm Erica." "Nice to meet you," I replied, shaking his hand. We talked all night, and before I knew it, we were dating. Isaac was charming, always knew the right thing to say, and made me feel special. After 3 years of dating, we decided to get married. Our wedding was small, just close friends and family. After the wedding, I moved into Isaac's family home. It was a big old house where his mom, Ariane, also lived. Ariane wasn't well, and Isaac took care of her. I was new to this situation but wanted to help. "Isaac, have you thought about maybe getting her into a care facility? They could give her the medical care she needs," I said, trying to be gentle. Isaac looked uncomfortable. "I don't know. Mom's always wanted to stay here. She's comfortable at home." "Yeah, but she needs more than we can give her. Just think about it, okay?" I said, hoping he'd understand. The next day, Isaac's sister, Brittany, came over. Brittany was always on edge and liked to complain. She had recently lost her older husband, who left her quite a bit of money. We didn't really get along. "Isaac, what's this I hear about putting Mom in a home?" Brittany snapped the moment she walked in. "I just mentioned it as an option," Isaac replied. I tried to stay calm. "Well, it's not happening. Mom will stay here until the end," Brittany said firmly, glaring at me. I decided to drop the subject. Brittany was still mourning her husband, and I didn't want to make things harder for her. But dealing with her wasn't easy. She had a habit of showing up unannounced and making everything more difficult. She never liked me and made it obvious whenever she could. One evening, I was in the kitchen cooking dinner, a simple chicken dish with vegetables. It was nothing fancy, but still tasty. Brittany walked in without knocking, as usual. "Erica, you're cooking again," she said, wrinkling her nose. "You know Mom liked her food with real flavor, not this bland stuff." "Good evening to you too, Brittany," I replied, trying to stay calm. "I'm doing my best with what we have." "Well, it's not enough. Maybe you should try harder," she snapped. I bit my tongue, not wanting to argue. Isaac walked in just then, sensing the tension. "Hey, what's going on here?" he asked, looking between us. "Your wife thinks bland chicken is good enough for Mom," Brittany said with a huff, then stormed out of the kitchen. Isaac turned to me, clearly frustrated. "Erica, can't you just try to get along with her? She's been through a lot." "Isaac, I'm trying my best, but she's always criticizing me. Nothing I do seems good enough for her," I said, feeling the weight of it all. The next few days were tense. Brittany kept showing up unannounced, and each time she found something new to complain about. It felt like I was walking on eggshells, never knowing what might set her off. One evening, she came over and started picking at the house. "Erica, this place is a mess. Don't you ever clean?" she said, looking around with disgust. "I clean every day, Brittany. Maybe if you actually helped, it wouldn't be so hard to keep up," I snapped, finally losing my patience. "How dare you talk to me like that?" "I'm just trying to help," she yelled back. "Help? By criticizing everything I do?" "That's not helping, Brittany," I shot back, feeling my anger rise. "Erica, calm down," Isaac said, stepping between us. "Calm down? She's constantly attacking me, and I'm supposed to just take it," I said, frustration boiling over. Brittany glared at me and stormed out of the house. I felt both relief and anger, but the tension lingered. Dealing with Brittany was never easy. She'd breeze in, spend a few minutes in her mother's room, criticize me, and leave without helping. I started avoiding being home when Brittany came around. It was just easier that way. 8 months later, Ariane's health got worse, and she passed away. It was a hard time for everyone, especially Isaac. The funeral was somber, but Brittany's behavior made it even more stressful. At the graveside, Brittany turned to me, her face filled with anger. "Erica, if you'd found the right medicine, Mom might still be here," she said bitterly. I was stunned. "Brittany, I'm not a doctor. I did everything I could." "Those are just excuses," she snapped, not caring how much her words hurt. After the funeral, I told Isaac he needed to talk to Brittany and set things straight. "Isaac, you've got to talk to her. She can't keep blaming me for everything," I said, trying to stay calm. "Erica, you're just making things worse. Stop provoking her," he said sharply. His words hit me like a punch to the gut. I couldn't believe he thought I was the problem. It was insulting and hurtful, especially after everything I'd done to care for his mom. The months after Ariane's death were rough. I was still trying to process Brittany's accusations from the funeral. I needed a distraction, so I decided to clean out Ariane's old room. Maybe it would help clear my mind. As I sorted through her belongings, I found a stack of medical documents in her desk drawer. I flipped through them, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. One report from 4 years ago showed that Ariane had been in excellent health. But recently, she had died of internal bleeding. It didn't add up. When Isaac came home from work, he looked tired. "Hey, what are you up to?" he asked, peeking into the room. "I found some of your mom's medical papers," I said, holding up the documents. I held up the documents. "Look at this, 4 years ago, your mom was fine. Then she dies of internal bleedings." Isaac frowned as he took the papers from me. "Yeah, that is strange. What are you thinking?" "I'm not sure yet, but it doesn't make sense," I said, feeling uneasy. "Didn't Brittany's husband die of the same thing?" Isaac nodded slowly. "Yeah, he did. Internal bleeding just like Mom. And they both had unexplained bruises." My heart started to race. Bruises like that can happen if someone's taking blood thinners, but neither of them were on any, right? "No, they weren't," Isaac said, shaking his head. "What are you saying, Erica?" "I don't know yet, but it's weird." "Maybe I'm overthinking it," I said, trying to stay calm. A few days later, I noticed bruises on my own arms and legs. I hadn't bumped into anything, so it didn't make sense. Worried, I decided to run a blood test at my lab just to be safe. When the results came back, I was shocked. My blood had high levels of warfarin, a powerful blood thinner. I hadn't taken anything like that. "Isaac, we need to talk," I said, finding him in the living room. "What is it now, Erica?" he asked, sounding frustrated. "I found warfarin in my blood. Someone's been poisoning me," I said, showing him the lab results. "Who would do that?" "It doesn't make any sense," Isaac said, shaking his head. "I don't know, but I have a bad feeling about this. I think it's connected to what happened to your mom and Brittany's husband," I said, feeling a chill run down my spine. "Erica, you're starting to sound paranoid," Isaac said, frowning. "I'm not paranoid. This is real. We need to figure out who's behind this," I said firmly. I felt desperate as we talked. Then, as usual, Brittany walked in without knocking. "What's going on here?" she asked, looking between us. "Erica thinks someone's been poisoning her," Isaac said, holding up my lab results. "Poisoning? That's ridiculous. She works in a lab. Maybe she took something by accident," Brittany said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "I didn't take anything by accident, Brittany. This is serious," I said, glaring at her. "Oh, please. You're always looking for drama. Maybe you should focus on your own problems instead of dragging everyone else into them," Brittany shot back, rolling her eyes. "Brittany, this isn't drama. This is my life we're talking about," I said, my anger boiling over. "Erica, calm down," Isaac said, stepping between us. "We need to think this through." "Calm down? Your sister's accusing me of making this up, and you want me to calm down?" I yelled, frustration bubbling over. "Erica, you're acting crazy. We can't keep doing this. We need a divorce," Isaac said, his voice flat and final. "Divorce? Are you serious? You're going to believe her over me?" I asked, the shock hitting me like a punch. "Yes, Erica. You're always stirring things up." "I can't take it anymore," he said, looking away. Brittany smirked, clearly pleased with how things were playing out. I felt numb as I packed my things, the reality sinking in. I couldn't believe this was how it was ending. Brittany watched with a triumphant smile as I left the house, my heart heavy with betrayal and disbelief. After leaving Isaac, I rented a small apartment near my work. Moving on was hard, but I was determined to figure out the truth. I went over all the facts, and it became clear. Brittany was behind everything. She had poisoned her husband, her mother, and now she had tried to do the same to me. I hired a private detective named Jake to dig deeper. I handed him everything I had, the lab results, the medical records, and my notes. "Jake, I need you to find out everything about Brittany. I'm sure she's behind this," I said, feeling a mix of anger and determination. I handed Jake the stack of papers. "Got it, Erica. I'll start right away." "Give me 3 weeks," he said, nodding firmly. 3 weeks later, Jake called. "Erica, we need to meet. I've got some information." We met at a quiet cafe. Jake had a serious look on his face and a thick folder in his hand. "All right, what did you find?" I asked, my stomach in knots. "Brittany's in serious financial trouble. She's spent all the money her husband left her and now has huge debts," Jake explained, opening the folder. I looked through the documents, my anger growing. So, she's been killing for money. First her husband, then her mom, and now she tried to kill me. "It looks that way." "She's desperate and dangerous," Jake said, his voice steady. I decided to confront Isaac. I called him. "Isaac, it's Erica. Can we talk?" I asked, keeping my voice steady but firm. "What is this about, Erica?" he asked, sounding tired. "It's important. It's about Brittany," I replied, trying to stay calm. "All right, come over," he said. His voice had an unexpected warmth. I drove to his house, my heart pounding. I had everything ready to confront him about Brittany. When I walked in, Isaac greeted me with a warm smile, catching me off guard. "Erica, glad you came. I was thinking, today's our anniversary," he said, holding up a bottle of wine. "Isaac, we need to talk." "It's serious," I said, trying to steady my voice. "Let's hold off on that for a bit. Come on, let's have a drink. It's our anniversary," he insisted, pouring 2 glasses of wine. I hesitated, but finally agreed. "All right, just for a bit. Then we need to talk." We clinked glasses, and I took a sip, trying to push my anxiety aside. But after a few minutes, I started feeling dizzy and sick. "Isaac, I feel really sick." "Where did you get this wine?" I asked, gripping the table for support. "Brittany brought it from France. She said it's special." "I've been drinking it for a while," he replied, looking concerned. "Isaac, this wine is poisoned. Brittany's trying to kill you for the inheritance. Call 112 now." I managed to say before collapsing to the floor, my vision blurring as I lay there, barely conscious. I heard the door open, and Brittany's voice filled the room. "What's going on here?" she demanded when she saw me on the floor. "Erica says the wine's poisoned. She's really sick," Isaac said, panic in his voice. "Poisoned? She's drunk and making up lies to turn you against me," Brittany snapped, her voice sharp and angry. "I'll get a cold compress," Isaac said, rushing to the kitchen. Brittany knelt beside me, her face twisted into a cruel smile. "It's over for you, Erica. In a few hours, you'll die from internal bleeding. Then it'll be Isaac's turn, and everything will be mine," she whispered. I tried to speak, but my body wouldn't respond. The room spun, and I felt myself slipping away. The last thing I heard was Isaac returning, his voice filled with worry and confusion. Then everything went dark. I woke up a few days later in the hospital. My body ached, and my mind felt foggy. The room was quiet except for the faint beeping of machines. I blinked a few times to clear my vision and saw a nurse moving around the room. "Hey, you're awake," she said with a bright smile. "How are you feeling?" "Like I've been run over," I muttered, my throat dry and scratchy. "What happened?" "You've been out for a few days. Your husband called for help just in time, even though his sister tried her best to stop him," the nurse said, shaking her head. "She was quite the piece of work, that one," Isaac called, "even with Brittany trying to stop him?" I asked, feeling a mix of relief and surprise. "Yeah, he did. Good thing, too. The doctor said another hour and it might have been too late," she said. Just then, the door opened and Jake, the private detective, walked in with a police officer. Jake introduced him as Officer Nicholas. "Erica, glad to see you're awake," Jake said, pulling up a chair next to my bed. "Jake, Officer Nicholas, what's going on? What happened with Brittany?" I asked, my voice still weak. "Erica, you did it. You helped us catch a dangerous criminal," Jake said, his voice steady but kind. "A criminal case has been opened against Brittany," Officer Nicholas added. "We exhumed the bodies of her ex-husband and her mother. The tests confirmed they were both poisoned with warfarin." "Warfarin, just like me?" I whispered, tears welling up in my eyes. "Yes, the same substance. It caused internal bleeding, leading to their deaths," Nicholas explained, his tone serious. I couldn't hold back my tears anymore. They streamed down my face as the weight of it all hit me, relief, sadness, and disbelief all at once. I lay there crying with relief, listening to everything Jake and Officer Nicholas were telling me. The nightmare was finally over. "Erica, you were incredibly brave to come forward with all this. You saved lives by exposing Brittany," Jake said, placing a comforting hand on my shoulder as the nurse continued her checks. Jake and Officer Nicholas discussed the next steps in Brittany's case. I listened, feeling a sense of closure, but also a deep sadness about Isaac. "Erica, if you need anything, don't hesitate to call," Officer Nicholas said as they prepared to leave. "Thank you, officer. I appreciate everything you've done," I said, truly grateful for their support. After they left, I leaned back on the pillows, staring at the ceiling. The relief of knowing Brittany was caught was overwhelming, but I felt empty thinking about Isaac. It would take time to heal, both physically and emotionally, but with Brittany out of the picture, I finally had a chance to rebuild my life, one step at a time. The day of the trial was nerve-wracking. I sat in the courtroom, my heart pounding. I knew I'd have to face Brittany and share everything she had done. Isaac was there too, but his face showed doubt and confusion. He still couldn't believe his sister was guilty, even though the evidence proved she tried to poison him as well. As we waited for the trial to begin, Isaac turned to me, his voice low and tense. "Erica, I can't believe Brittany would do something like this. It feels like you're just out for revenge."
His words cut deep.
I couldn't understand how he could still defend her, even with all the proof against her. When the trial began, the prosecutor laid out the case, explaining Brittany's actions and presenting the evidence we had gathered. I was called to the stand as a witness. My hands trembled as I took my seat. "Erica, can you tell us about your suspicions and the evidence you found?" the prosecutor asked, his voice calm and steady. I took a deep breath and began. I started noticing strange symptoms after moving in with Isaac. His mother's health declined rapidly, and she had unexplained bruises. "I found similar symptoms in myself later on," I said. "What did you find in your investigation?" the prosecutor asked. "I hired a private detective who discovered that Brittany was in serious financial trouble. We found evidence that she poisoned her husband and was likely trying to do the same to me and Isaac for money," I explained, my voice shaking. "Did Brittany ever say anything to you that indicated her guilt?" the prosecutor asked.
"Yes.
Just before I passed out, she told me it was over for me and that after I died, Isaac would be next. She wanted everything we had," I said, my voice breaking with emotion. The defense lawyer stood up to cross-examine me. "Erica, isn't it true that you and Brittany never got along? Couldn't this be a personal grudge?" "No, this isn't personal. This is about stopping a killer," I said firmly, refusing to back down. As the trial went on, more witnesses testified, and the evidence against Brittany kept piling up. The private detective presented his findings, and the medical examiner confirmed warfarin in the exhumed bodies. The tension in the courtroom was intense. When Brittany was called to the stand, she denied everything at first. But as the evidence mounted, she finally broke down and confessed. At the next hearing, Brittany looked at Isaac with a cruel, mocking smile. "Yes, I did it. I poisoned my husband, our mother, and I tried to poison you and Erica. I wanted it all, the money, the property. And look at you now, crying like a baby." Isaac's face crumpled, tears streaming down his cheeks. "Brittany, how could you?" he asked, his voice trembling. She laughed, a cold, heartless sound that sent chills down my spine. "You were always so gullible, Isaac. You never saw what was right in front of you." The judge's gavel banged loudly, calling for order in the courtroom. Brittany was convicted of 2 counts of premeditated murder and the attempted murders of me and Isaac. She was sentenced to a long prison term, her smug smile fading as the guards led her away in handcuffs. After the trial, the weight of everything began to lift, but the scars, both emotional and physical, remained. It would take time to heal, but I was determined to move forward and rebuild my life. Isaac and I would never be the same, but at least the nightmare was finally over. I made the tough decision to divorce Isaac. There was too much pain and betrayal to fix things between us. I went through treatment to recover from the poisoning, and I heard from friends that Isaac was also getting treatment since Brittany had tried to poison him too. In my new apartment, I focused on rebuilding my life. It was small but cozy, a fresh start away from all the chaos. I worked on getting healthier and finding some peace. One afternoon, I was having coffee with my friend Brianna, who had been my rock through everything. "So, how are you really doing, Erica?" Brianna asked, her eyes full of concern. "I'm getting there, one day at a time. It's been hard, but I'm trying to move on," I replied, sipping my coffee. "Have you heard from Isaac?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yeah, he's tried to reach out a few times to patch things up," I said, rolling my eyes. "But I told him it's over." "Good for you. After everything he put you through, you deserve better," she said, nodding with approval. "I just can't forget how he trusted Brittany over me again and again. Trust is everything in a marriage, and once it's gone, there's no going back," I said, feeling a pang of sadness. "You're right. You need someone who believes in you and stands by you no matter what," Brianna said, squeezing my hand. One day, I was sorting through old photos, trying to decide what to keep and what to toss. Each picture brought back memories, some happy, others painful. My phone buzzed with a message from Isaac. I hesitated but opened it. "Erica, I know I've hurt you deeply.
Can we please talk one last time?" the message read.
I took a deep breath and replied, "Isaac, there's nothing left to say. We both need to move on. I wish you well, but this chapter is closed." I hit send and felt a mix of relief and finality. It was time to close that door for good. In the evenings, I took up painting to relax and express myself. It was therapeutic, a way to pour my emotions into something positive. I also joined a local book club, meeting new people, and slowly building a new circle of friends. Every day was a step toward healing. I was determined to create a life filled with trust, joy, and peace. The past would always be part of me, but it didn't define my future. I was ready to embrace whatever came next, stronger and wiser than before.